Hello everyone, very good evening and welcome to the daily current affairs session. So we will see the current affairs covered of the 3 days. Anyway, Sunday there is very less amount of news. Yesterday and today there are some good amount of news. So we will see a little bit lengthy session can be expected, right? So these are all the articles that we are going to cover today. I hope my voice and video is clear. Yeah. So let's see what are all the articles that we are going to discuss. First one, Mercenary spyware attack, right? So this is part of science and technology. So question can be expected in the coming exams. Next one, critical minerals. Again, you can take it as a geography or some part of science and technology as well, right? So it can categorized in any of the subjects. Next one, Chandipura virus. So this is the virus which has origin from India. So again, there is a high chances to ask the question. This is again part of science and technology. So many science and technology articles are there. Next one, vibrant villages program. So this is part of governance or schemes and policies. Schemes and policies or governance. Next one, Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI. There's a lot of criticism in the utility of CBI. So we'll see that in detail. So this is part of polity. This is part of polity. Next one, gear shift challenge of Niti Aayog. So this is a part of transportation and environment. So you can take it as economy or environment, right? Then Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES Convention, a very important article from environment subject, a very, very important, many times been asked in the exam, right? Then we have dedicated freight corridor. This is a part of economy. We will see there are 2 freight corridors, so we will discuss that in detail, the 2 corridors of dedicated freight corridors. Next, Bhojshala temple complex. This is part of history or culture, you can take history and culture as well. So there is a dispute between, so we will discuss this as well, what Archaeological Survey of India has said. Then we have some factual pointers and practice questions. So very good evening, Srinath and Keshav. So let's start with the session. The first article is about the mercenary spyware attacks, right? And why there is an article covering this? This is because recently K.C. Venugopal, who is one of the opposition members from Congress party, has got a warning from Apple that there is a possible mercenary spyware attacks, right, in his phone. So Apple has given a warning to this particular person from Congress, right? So that's why there is an issue. But anyway, we are not going to discuss about the political things. That is not required for our exams, right? You should be apolitical as a aspiring government servant, right? Let's see what actually this spyware mercenary attacks, mercenary spyware. So what is this? This is a software, special software developed by any private organization, like any private companies, to give it for the government to spy anyone, right? So those are all softwares manufactured by the private entities to give government. So government can use to take information, the spyware, right? So why government required this type of spywares? Because they can access or they can monitor the illegal activities, right? But of course, this was misused by many governments, not only in India, but in other countries also, by taking information of opposition leaders and all, right? The actual intention is to give software to the government so that they can monitor any illegal activities like terrorism and all. But it may be misused by the governments, right, by monitoring the opposition activities and all. So that is not we are discussing here, but this is the purpose, what the manufacturing of mercenary spywares does, right? It involves using spyware malicious software which will collect all the data, whatever messages you type, whatever the WhatsApp things you use, or whatever the transactions, whatever the calls you do, all the things will be monitored or extracted by this software, right, which will be installed on the phone, right? Even without your knowing or without your awareness, they can install this software through any of like text messages or email, something like that. Fine. So that is the mercenary spyware. Now, how can this be infiltrated into the phone? There are methodologies also. Sometimes they will give just the names, right? So this software can be deployed in the phone in a few approaches. One is zero-day exploits. Zero-day exploit means till now this was not an approach. Like this, for the first time it is a new type. There is no, we don't know what actually is vulnerable. For the first time, this type of exploitation is taking place. If any such type of activity, for the first time they are using this method, those methods are called as zero-day exploits. That means till now we don't know about their vulnerabilities. Previously it was not used much, right? Second one, about phishing. Phishing means sending us links in the emails, like whatever the decisive mails, you might be also getting lot of mails with links and all, right? If you just open on that email, immediately the software will be installed in your device. So those type of deceptive emails which are installed after opening it is known as phishing. Through this, they can extract all your information as well. So this is the second one. Next one is Trojan apps. These are the apps from Play Store which seems to be legitimate ones. They seems to be legitimate ones, but if you install those apps, immediately all your information will be extracted from the phone. So those are called as the Trojan apps. So these three are the popular methods where this spyware, mercenary spyware, is installed into the devices, right? So this may be also asked in the exam. Next, capabilities. So what they can do after installing, they can extract data, they can control the device, like whatever, even if you are clicking on that app, it won't open. So they can control using the software what apps to be monitor, what apps to be can enable to use, what apps cannot be able to use by the user. So all those things they can control the device itself. Next is steal operation. That means they can steal the data. They can steal all the data whatever required for that. So these are all the capabilities of this mercenary spyware, right? So this is about the mercenary spyware. So you need to know what actually this is and what is the purpose, for what purpose this was actually built up, and then what is the methodologies to extract the information, what type of vulnerabilities or extractions can take place. Any doubts in this? Very good evening, Sukanya. So welcome to the session. So I hope the first article is clear. The next article is about critical minerals. Critical minerals. Now, why we are discussing this article? The context is India and USA, United States of America, has recently signed an agreement under Initiative for Critical Emerging Technology. So they may also directly ask you this initiative itself. With which country India has signed Initiative for Critical and Emerging Technology Dialogue. This is of India and USA, and for what purposes? The purpose is to jointly collaborate and then extract critical minerals in other countries, right? So this initiative objective is to collaborate each other, that is India and USA, and extract the critical minerals from other countries. So for that purpose, the government has signed the agreement with the USA. Now you may ask, sir, what actually is a critical minerals? There is a number of minerals in the earth, but what categorized as a critical minerals? Critical minerals are those minerals which are less available or difficult to extract, right? Not just about their supply risk in terms of the amount. They may present sometimes in a huge number, but we were not able to extract exactly. The technology is very costly or is difficult to extract those minerals. So it is economic importance, that means they have very huge importance, like batteries, software, the manufacturing of computers. So these are economic importance, but also along with that, it is a very difficult to extract them, right? They may be abundantly available, or they may be less available, but it is a supply risk. That means we were not able to extract them. So those are categorized as a critical minerals, economic importance and the risk in extracting them, right? So these are essential for national security. For example, we recorded defense. So for example, you can take any saltpeter, something which we are using in the bullets, right? So those, if for example, are not abundantly available, but are very essential for our national security, defending against China or whatever may be the condition, right? So those minerals are all categorized under this critical minerals. And more about it, more about the agreement and all, India has high importance for the what you call extracting. It required the critical minerals in terms of, as we are moving towards the electric mobility, that is vehicles of electrical in nature, we require lead, right? Because it is the core part of battery construction. We also have enemies in terms of China and Pakistan in our borders. So to fight against them, we require critical minerals, right? So that's why now India is trying to extract from other countries, because in our country very less amount of critical minerals are there. Almost all the critical minerals we are importing from other countries, and if that country stops exporting to our country, then we will be in a very huge dangerous situation. That's why India is aiming to extract the rare earth materials not only from India but in other countries like Argentina and all, which have abundant critical minerals. Of course we will pay them, right? We will pay the money and then we are extracting, right? Now in July 2023, this is a very important fact, India has enlisted 30 minerals of critical nature. Total 30 minerals was identified by India as a critical minerals. So you can see here, these are all the critical minerals. You don't need to remember all the things, but know that there are 30 critical minerals identified by the government. Just glance through them and remember, based on the options, you can choose the options. Antimony, beryllium, bismuth, cadmium, cobalt, copper, gallium, germanium, graphite, hafnium, indium, lithium. Lithium is a very important one. Molybdenum, niobium. So you can just remember all this, nickel, right? And then platinum and other materials, phosphorus, potassium, right? So all these things are the total 30 minerals which were identified. These are all the sub elements of these things. Then rhenium, selenium, silicon, strontium, tantalum, tellurium, tin, titanium, tungsten, vanadium and zirconium. So these are all the 30 critical minerals identified by the government of India. Fine. So that is about critical minerals. Now Indian government has enabled this definition under Mines and Minerals Act, which was amended in 2003. So by amending this act, Mines and Minerals Act, which was already existing in 1957, they have amended and they have included these 30 minerals into this Mines and Minerals Act. They may ask you, critical minerals were included in which act of India? There are a number of acts related to the mining and all, but this act you have to remember. The critical minerals were identified under Mines and Minerals Act of 1957, right? To implement this, to extract the minerals from other countries, because those countries may not have economic resources or technological things, so they won't extract and sell it to the other countries. So we are directly saying that we will extract, we will do all the work and we will pay you, right? So for that purpose, Indian government has established Khanij Bidesh India Limited, a very, very important fact. Right? Recent exam, in one of the exams of CSIR, they have asked this question, which organization was established. So Khanij Bidesh India Limited was established by incorporating the members of National Aluminium Company Limited, Hindustan Copper Limited, Mineral Exploration and Consultancy Limited. So these are all the private organizations which were established, the Khanij Bidesh India Limited. And what is the objective? The objective is to extract the critical minerals in other countries. For that particular purpose, this was established, right? The objective is to extract the critical minerals abroad. Fine. So that is about the critical minerals. You need to know what is the critical minerals, right? And then what is this initiative for critical emerging technology between India and USA, and then you need to know about the definition, like how many critical minerals are there, under which act it was recognized, and then you need to know about the company established. Fine. So this is about the critical minerals. Let's move to the next article, that is Chandipura virus, a very short article, very short article. The context is, recently few children were, died because of suspicion with the Chandipura virus. It was noted that Chandipura virus has killed certain children in the Maharashtra. That's why there was an article in the Hindu. Let's see what is this Chandipura virus, how it spreads. All those things are important for our exam. This virus belongs to the Rhabdoviridae family. So this is a type of virus, right? So you have to remember the fact also, Chandipura virus belongs to Rhabdoviridae family, and it causes the encephalitis. Encephalitis means it is a disease, inflammation of brain. Inflammation means any reddish and then the white pus will come. That is called as the inflammation. Inflammation occurs in our skins even for small injuries. That is a natural thing. But inflammation of brain is a very dangerous thing, right? So encephalitis means inflammation in the brain that causes the injury to the brain, which will sometimes lead to the death also, brain dead, right? So this is the thing about the Chandipura virus. Now it was first identified in Chandipura village in Maharashtra. In Maharashtra state, there is a Chandipura village. For the first time, it was identified from this village in 1965. That's why the name has come from that village itself, right? It affects mostly of children's, like leading to dizziness and then influenza like things, right? It is mostly affect the children. Now, how it is transmitted? This is most important. How this virus is transmitted? This virus can be transmitted through vector-borne. That means mosquitoes, ticks or insects which are already a virus from somewhere else. They can bite and then they can carry this and then they can spread to the children. And from that particular person, it may bite other person and it may transmit. So it is a vector-borne disease. That is the most important thing. Vector-borne disease, it means it can carried by the insects, including the mosquitoes. And what is the symptoms? Symptoms are normally for other disease the same thing. Fever, flu-like illness, acute encephalitis, that is brain inflammation. These are all the symptoms of the particular person who is attacked by the Chandipura virus, right? And diagnosis, this can be done like how COVID was extracted, PCR diagnosis. So this is a technical thing. No need to worry too much about it. Transcriptors, it is like a medical word. You no need to worry about this. So there is a method to identify the disease. Fine. But the treatment, this is a major issue for us because there is no specific treatment or vaccine. There is no vaccine or there is no medication also to treat. Once it comes, so it is very difficult to eradicate. Fine. And prevention, you just need to avoid the mosquito bites, tick bites, and then use repellents. Like how you are doing it for malaria, the same case you need to maintain, right? So these are all the preventive methods. Any doubts in this? I hope that is clear. In case if you have doubts, please do comment in the comment section, so I'll explain again. Next one, Vibrant Villages Program. This was taken from Press Information Bureau. Recently, our Honorable Home Minister, right, Shri Amit Shah, has reviewed the implementation of Vibrant Village Program. Vibrant Village Program was reviewed by our Ministry of Home Affairs. Under this program, total 136 border villages are being provided with the connectivity of all weather roads with the total cost of 2420 crores. That means under this objective, under this scheme, the main objective is to connect the border villages. Usually in the border villages are neglected, right? The development usually focus on the cities and all where internally without any issues. As the border issues always have certain issues, the development won't take place. To address this challenge, government has come up with the Village Vibrant Program, where government want to connect not only with the roads, but education, internet, all these things are being provided to the border villages through Vibrant Village Program. This is the objective, right? And this is a centrally sponsored scheme. Anyone tell me what is centrally sponsored scheme? We have discussed many times. Two things are there in the scheme's implementation: central sector scheme, centrally sponsored scheme. Centrally sector scheme means 100% funded by the government. Central sponsored scheme means 60% funds will be given by the central government and 40% will be given by has to spend by the states. And there is a special category states are there. Some states, their 90% funds are given by the center itself. Only 10% they can spend, right? So it is a centrally sponsored scheme being implemented from 2022-23 to 2025-26. Year is also important. In some exams, they are asking about the implementation time period also, right? And the objective we have already discussed, to give funds to create infrastructure in the border villages. That is the objective of this, right? So it was identified to implement in 4 states and 1 union territory. Arunachal Pradesh border with China, Sikkim again border with China, Uttarakhand again border with China and Nepal, Himachal Pradesh we have border with the China and Ladakh as well. So in these states and union territories, this Vibrant Village Program is being implemented. It is not for all the states, right? And yes, to improve the quality of life of the people in the border areas. This is the main objective of this scheme. A very simple article, right? It focuses on connectivity, drinking water, electricity, energy, everything that is required for the well-being of state. Government is being provided, right? And these funds are 100% saturated. It means if the fund is not used in the particular fiscal year, it will remain separately for this particular scheme itself. Usually for other schemes, if the funds are not used in that fiscal year, the funds will go back to the Consolidated Fund of India. But this scheme, 100% saturation, that means separately created, and all the funds has to go to this particular scheme. They cannot go back to the Consolidated Fund of India. And this nodal ministry is Ministry of Home Affairs. Ministry of Home Affairs is taking care of the implementation of this particular scheme. Any doubts in this? Okay. Next article about Central Bureau of Investigation. Central Bureau of Investigation. The context is recently Supreme Court has upheld the maintainability of the West Bengal government suit. West Bengal, CBI has went to West Bengal and they are inquiring about lot of government employees, about the corruption and all. So West Bengal went to Supreme Court and filed that we have withdrawn the general consent. We will see what is general consent and specific consent in the end. You will understand the context, right? West Bengal said that we have taken back our general consent. That means CBI, they themselves cannot go and inquire in our state. They have to take permission. The specific consent is required. General consent means even without, like in general they are given the consent, they can directly go and inquire, right? Because police is a state subject, law and order is a state subject in our 7th schedule, right? Police is a state subject. That's why CBI is a police custodian, police organization, inquiry organization. But as state has the police, the police is a state subject, they have to take permission unless until the CBI has a general consent, right? So that's why West Bengal has filed a suit in the Supreme Court. So we'll see what actually the general consent and all. Before that, let's understand the details about the CBI. It is an investigation agency. That means if there is any issue, any case in terms of corruption or economic offences or any other conventional crime, any murder or anything, investigation is required which has a high amount of difficulty, this organization takes care. So this is a investigation agency of the government of India, central government. This was established in 1963, a very, very important one for your exams. It was established in 1963, right? And this was recommended by Santanam committee. So this CBI came into the picture or implementation by recommendation, through the recommendation of the Santanam committee, a very, very important fact again, right? Next, CBI is not a statutory body. That means it was not established with any of the acts, right? This was not established with any of the acts, rather it was an just executive body. That means without any law, without any constitution. It's not a constitutional body or a statutory body. No law was mentioning about the CBI. But it derives its power from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. So even during the Britishers, there is an act, right? It derives its powers. That means all the powers of CBI are mentioned in this particular act. So what activities they can do, general consent, specific consent, all these things are discussed in the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. But this was not established as such from the act. It came after this 1963, it came into the implementation, right? And it operates under the Ministry of Personal and Public Grievances and Pensions, right? So this ministry is not the Ministry of Home Affairs. Earlier it was Ministry of Home Affairs, but now this is under the Ministry of Personal and Public Grievances and Pensions, right? So this is about the CBI. Now, coming to the central government, appointing the director of CBI. The head of CBI is appointed by the central government on the recommendation of Prime Minister, a committee, which should have a committee, and this is headed by Prime Minister and consists of Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of India from Supreme Court. So these three persons together sit and appoint the director of the CBI, right? So this is the appointment process of the CBI director. Now about the general consent. So general consent is a seamless investigation. So there should not be any intervention from the state. So state says that yes, we are giving the general consent. So whenever you want to come, you can investigate. You don't need to take any permission from us. So that is the case of general consent. But this general consent was taken back by many states, including West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, even Andhra Pradesh has taken away few years back, right? So in the absence of general consent, if there is no general consent given by the state, then they have to apply for the specific, for each and every case they need to take a permission. That is called as the specific consent, right? So if there is an absence of any general consent, they have to apply for each and every case that they are going to inquire in the state. So that is called as a specific consent that they need to take from the state governments, right? So this is why the West Bengal has taken away the general consent, but still without the permission of the West Bengal, the CBI officers are entering the state and taking care of the inquiry. So that's why this case has went for the Supreme Court. Any doubts in this? Very good evening, Shanti. Welcome to the session. I hope all the elements of this particular article are clear about CBI. Next one, gear shift challenge. Gear shift challenge. This was recently launched by Niti Aayog. Alright, Niti Aayog. This initiative, this was taken from Press Information Bureau. Now, a little bit about the present condition. You all know that there are big trucks which are moving around the roads. You might have seen such a huge trucks with 6, 7 or there are 3 rows of wheels at the behind and then 1 wheel at front. So these are the high trucks. Because of these trucks, there is a lot of damage to the roads, as well as there is a lot of emissions from the these vehicles like NOx, SOx gases or CO2. These are being emitted from these trucks, right? So these are the major problem in the roads because they are emitting the toxic gases which may lead to greenhouse gas effect, right? Similarly, the roads are also being damaged because of the heavy trucks. Because of that, the government has come up with the gear shift challenge. Gear shift challenge along with the collaboration from IIM Bangalore and Smart Freight Center India. And what is the objective? They want to shift these trucks towards the electrical adaptation. So they want to encourage the adoption of electric trucks. Now most of the trucks are based on the petroleum or diesel, right? Mostly of diesel, which is having high amount of emissions, which is affecting our environment. That's why Niti Aayog want to encourage to shift all the trucks towards the electric vehicle so that emissions can be reduced. So that is the objective. That is the objective of this gear shift challenge of Niti Aayog. And this want to encourage the business models with the zero emission trucks, right? So this is implemented along with the eFast India. eFast initiative is already an existing initiative which stands for Electric Freight Accelerator for Sustainable Transport. So they want to encourage these trucks to shift into the electric vehicles. This is already being implemented with the private organizations and all. So they are going to club. In the end, the objective is to make the trucks electrical vehicles and also leading to the zero emissions from the trucks. So that is the objective of this, because as of now, 55% of India's diesel consumption is happening through road freight. Diesel is the most toxic gas or toxic element which releases the toxic gases than petroleum. At least petrol is a little bit less emitter because it is more efficient. So this diesel vehicles are 55% which are having the road carriers, right? And 40% of CO2 is coming from this particular trucks. That's why government want to encourage the electric trucks to manufacture and then replace the existing trucks. So that is the objective of the mission. Mahendra Golla Mahendra, is CBI taking permission in state under by whom, sir? See, CBI is under Ministry of Personal and Public Grievances. For example, there is a West Bengal state and there is an inquiry. CBI has got some information that a person from West Bengal has involved in some crime, whether it is economic or any other thing. They cannot directly go. Only if there is a general consent, then they can directly go and investigate. If there is no general consent, then they have to apply in the state government. That means Ministry of Home Affairs in the state. there will be Department of Home Affairs in the state government. They have to apply the what you call permission, and once this Department of Home Affairs of the state gives the consent, then only they can inquire, right? So they need to take permission from the state government. State government here means Department of Home Affairs. I hope that is clear, right? Next article, a very important article, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Flora and Fauna, right? CITES Convention. You all know that there's a lot of what you call trade within animal species. You might have seen that elephant trunks are being what you call traded, and many parts of the animals usually are traded, especially from Africa, right? So because to contain this, the United Nations, all the countries came together and they have established the CITES. That means the trade of animals and plants should happen legally, and also it should not threaten the countries, right? The countries in the sense the environment or ecology and all. Now why we are discussing this article? Because CITES has launched a report, CITES Rosewood, the Global Picture. So rosewood is a species. We will see details about this. The CITES has released a report related to the CITES, rosewoods. So that's why we are seeing this particular article. Before seeing CITES and all, let's understand what is rosewood. Sometimes in the exam, rosewood is also asked in the exam because it is an important species, right? So rosewood is a variety of rich timber, that means used in the manufacturing. Rosewood, which is mainly sourced from tropical hardwood species. That means in Earth we have tropics, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Only in this region this rosewood is available in a high quality manner, right? So those are all the timbers, a type of variety which gives very aromatic smell and also very high quality wood for furniture, right? So it is very highly prized because of its reddish color and a beautiful looking. So that's why it is a very costlier. In India there are two types of rosewood species. This is a very, very important one to be remembered, that in India which varieties are available. Dalbergia latifolia, this is available. This is also called as Malabar rosewood, and this is listed as vulnerable in IUCN list. And one more variety is there, Dalbergia sisu. Those who are preparing for forest exams in the states, this becomes very, very important article. You need to know about all the species and scientific names of those, right? So these two are the type of rosewoods that are available in India. One is Dalbergia latifolia, which is vulnerable in IUCN, and one more is Dalbergia sisu, that is a least concern in our IUCN list, right? This is the rosewood. Now, Convention on International Trade Species. So we have already discussed a little bit. Washington Convention. This is also known as Washington Convention because this agreement was signed in Washington in USA, right? Now, according to this agreement, whatever the trade that is taking place between the countries through flora and fauna, that is animals and plant species, that should not hamper the growth of those countries and it should not affect the environment condition of those countries. That is the objective, right? So it prohibits any commercial trade which is affecting the nations. This was signed in 1973 on the day of World Wildlife Day. Every year March 3rd is celebrated as World Wildlife Day, and 1973 this was signed. And which organization is administering? That is also important. This CITES Convention is administered by United Nations Environment Program, which is headquartered at Nairobi, right? This organization headquarters is Nairobi, Kenya, but CITES Secretariat or headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, right? So this is also important, and this is a legally binding treaty. All the states has to adhere to it. Once they are part of CITES, whatever the convention, whatever the organization takes an initiative, every country has to follow it. It is a legally binding agreement, right? That is one thing. And according to the CITES, there are three lists. One is Appendix 1. Trade is permitted only in exceptional cases. Only if that is very requirement for the other country, then only it is available. So only 3% of all the species that are regulated are part of this Appendix 1. So very strictly regulated. Next is Appendix 2. That is trade strictly controlled, but it is not completely prohibited like Appendix 1. 97% of the species are located here, right? So these are the two main lists. And there is also one more list, Appendix 3, where on the recommendation of the country, like for example, India is asking sites to keep certain species in this list. So if any country wants to keep this on the recommendation, so this can be kept under the appendix 3 as well, right? So these are the 3 lists. And what about the India's implementation of CITES? India has signed this agreement, and India is also member of this agreement, right? Wildlife Crime Control Bureau is the organization from India which is responsible for the implementation of the CITES agreement. A very, very important fact to be remembered. Wildlife Crime Control Bureau is the responsible one to implement the CITES in India, right? And India is kept under the category 2 country. That means whatever the 4 conditions given by the CITES, we are satisfying only few conditions, 1 or 2 we are satisfying. We are not satisfying all the 4 conditions. That's why we are kept under the category 2 country. That means we are not fully adhered to the rules and regulations of the CITES, right? That is about the CITES convention. Any doubts in this? Moving to the next article, a very important article, dedicated freight corridor, dedicated freight corridors. The context is Center has exempted the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited from 18% GST. So this is the organization which is implementing the dedicated freight corridors, right? Now the GST was exempted for this particular organization. That's the context, but it is a very small context. For us, what actually is a dedicated freight corridors? How many are there in India? Those are very, very important. Which places are being connected? All these things are important. Dedicated freight corridors are the railway lines which are exclusively for transportation of freight, that means goods, right? It is not, these lines are not for carrying the passengers. The dedicated freight corridors are exclusively meant to carry the transportation of freight or goods, not for the passengers, right? There are 2 dedicated freight corridors as of now in India, right? So there are 2 arms. One is Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. We have 2 dedicated freight corridors. One is Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, which connects the Dankuni to Punjab, Ludhiana. Here we have a Ludhiana in Punjab. So from Ludhiana till West Bengal, Dankuni in West Bengal. So these are all the states where this dedicated freight corridor. So in this line only goods are transmitted, there is no passengers. You can see Punjab, Haryana, so 1 is Punjab, 2 Haryana, and 3 Uttar Pradesh, and then 4 Bihar, 5 Jharkhand, and then 6 West Bengal. So total 6 states are there, a very important one to be remembered. Total 6 states are connecting this. And what are the 2 places that are being connected? Ludhiana to Dankuni. Fine. Ludhiana in Punjab to Dankuni they are connecting. And the total length of this is 1337 kilometers. The total length of this freight corridor, Eastern Freight Corridor, right? And there is one more thing, that is Western Freight Corridor. The length is 1506 kilometers. This is being connected from Mumbai port to Dadri in Uttar Pradesh. Jawaharlal Nehru port in Mumbai to Dadri in Uttar Pradesh. So this is the connection route. You can see here Ajmer in Rajasthan, Rewari, like Vadodara in Gujarat. This is a connecting place, right? And the length is much more than Eastern Freight Dedicated Corridor. This length is 1506 kilometers, a very important one. And through which states it passes through? You can remember that as well. Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Haryana. So total 5 states are being passed with this Western Dedicated Freight Corridor. A very important one to be remembered. Now there are few more facts that need to be noted. To implement these 2 dedicated freight corridor, Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor and Western Dedicated Freight Corridor, the government has launched Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India in 2006. This organization is taking care of the implementation of these 2 dedicated freight corridors. And this is being implemented under Ministry of Railways as a special purpose vehicle. So it has a special creation under Ministry of Railways. So total 2 dedicated freight corridor together, the length is 3,306 kilometers. And the funding from this, for this particular freight corridors, that is also important. The total cost of these two corridors, both eastern and western dedicated freight corridors, the total cost is 81,000 crores. This is the total cost. And eastern dedicated freight corridor is funded majorly by World Bank, a very important one to be remembered. Eastern dedicated freight corridors is funded by World Bank, whereas western dedicated freight corridor is being sponsored by Japan International Cooperation Agency, a very important one. Eastern is World Bank, western is Japanese International Cooperation Agency. Any doubts in this? This is one of the important articles. You need to know all the facts related to it, from which places it is being connected, right? And what actually is a dedicated freight corridor, what is the length, which states are passing. Any question combination can come from this particular article, right? So this is a very important article from exam point of view. The last article for today is Bhojshala Temple Complex. Bhojshala Temple. So it is part of our history as well as culture. Now, why this article has come into the picture? Because the Archaeological Survey of India has said that the mosque present here, right? The mosque present here is constructed by taking the temple remains which was existing. So there was a mosque now, but the Archaeological Survey of India said that there was a temple earlier and the materials was destructed by our Delhi Sultanate Delhi Sultanate, and then they have constructed this mosque. That's what they have said. But anyway, the Supreme Court will judge or decide what has to be taken. Now, what is the dispute related to? The dispute is the Hindus believe that there is a temple here for goddess Vagdevi. So Saraswati, a form of Saraswati. So there is a Vagdevi temple earlier, and believes that it was constructed and they have built the mosque here, Kamal Mola Mosque. You have to remember this also. Kamal Mola Mosque is the present mosque, and Hindus believe that this was constructed by destructing the temple which was existing earlier, right? And Archaeological Survey of India, as there is a mosque now and there is also some temple remains there, so that's why the Archaeological Survey of India allows Hindus to pray on every Tuesdays. It allows Hindus every Tuesdays to go and worship the Vagdevi, goddess Saraswati, right, on Basant Panchami as well, and it allows Muslims to take namaz on Friday. So it is being regulated by Archaeological Survey of India. It is allowing both the sections based on the requirements, right? And let's know about the temple as well, where it is located and all. This is located in the Dar district of Madhya Pradesh. I hope you understood the issue. The issue is that currently there is a mosque, right? Kamal Mola Mosque, and Hindus believe that there is a temple there, right? And to regulate the dispute or to dissipate the dispute, the Archaeological Survey is enabling two groups, Hindus as well as Muslims, to worship in the certain days, right? Now, about the temple, this is located in the Dar district and Madhya Pradesh, and it was believed to be established by Raja Bhoj of Parmara dynasty. So it was believed that this temple was built by Raja Bhoj from Parmara dynasty, right? It is known for Vagdevi, that is Saraswati temple, and later it was converted to Kamal Maulana Mosque. This is the present scenario, right? Notable features in the temple, you can remember this terminologies also, especially if you are writing higher level of exams like state PSCs and UPSC, they are asking terms as well. It has large open courtyard where if you go to temple, you can sit there. It is like a courtyard that is called as Mahayata. And also veranda, right? It is like veranda before just main temple. So this is called as Thapana. And finally prayer hall, where you enter into this and then pray there. So that is called as Shikarakara. These are all the features of the temple, right? And now what Archaeological Survey of India said. Yesterday there was a news that what they have said is also important for us. They said that the current structure was built using the remains of the earlier temple existing there. The temple was built by Parmara dynasty. This is what the Archaeological Survey of India said. And pillars, pilasters and columns, that means columns, were originally belonged to the temple. So they have used the carbon dating and all. They have proved that they are saying that this belongs to the older temple, right? Carvings of Hindu deities were found. They have shown the Ganesha images and the Narsimha images, Bhairava images of Lord Shiva. So they have said that these are all the mutilated state, the broken state, but they are present in this particular temple, right? And then Sanskrit and Prakrit inscriptions were discovered inside the temple. So inside the temple itself, there is a Sanskrit and Prakrit inscriptions on the walls. So they are saying that it belongs to earlier Hindu kings, right? Later converted to the mosque. Now, Hindu petitioners who has filed in the case Supreme Court, they said that they have expressed confidence that they have proper proofs and it belongs to the Hindu temple, whereas Muslim petitioners has filed in the Supreme Court that archaeological survey has wrongly surveyed, right? So they have no proper proofs, but they are instigating that this and all. So this is what the cases has filed. Now we need to see what happens, what Supreme Court can do, right? So this is about the session for 3 days current affairs. Now we need to know about factual pointers as well. There are some factual pointers which are very important for our exam. First one, Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, IPBES. Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity, Ecosystem and Services. So this is an organization. It has won the Blue Planet Prize. Blue Planet Prize for 2024. They will ask you in the exam who was recently won the Blue Planet Prize for 2024. It is a IPEPS. We will see what is that. Before that, let's see what is Blue Planet Prize and who gives. This also will be asked in the exam. It is given by Asahi Glass Foundation from Japan. This award is given by the Asahi Glass Foundation, right, to individuals and organizations who contributes for the scientific research. Every year it is given for scientific research, right? And IPBS is a platform intergovernmental organization which was established in 2012 to conduct the research in scientific and ecological services, ecosystem services, and benefit for the whole nations or whole world, right? It is not a UN body, it is not under any United Nations body, it is works with the United Nations, but it is not part of United Nations, right? And this headquarters is located in Bern, Germany. Bern is a city in Germany. Next fact, study has highlighted that the people who are residing in the Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve are not very much aware with the conservation status of vultures. So vultures are, most of the vultures are critically endangered. That means they are less in numbers, but they are very high scavengers. That means they can clear a lot of the unwanted dead matter, right? But because of their decline, now we are facing a lot of issues in the forests as well, right? So Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve is declared as a tiger reserve in 2013 and is located in the Tamil Nadu state, a very important one. It is located in the Tamil Nadu state. It is contiguous region, that means it is surrounded by Mudumulai Tiger Reserve, Bilgiri Ranganatha Swami Tiger Reserve and Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So it is located in the surrounding region. And it links the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve links the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. So this is the Western Ghats and this is the Eastern Ghats. Here it is located, Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Next one, Union Home Minister has inaugurated Pradhan Mantri Colleges of Excellence in Madhya Pradesh. Pradhan Mantri Colleges of Excellence. So you may ask, what is this Pradhan Mantri Colleges of Excellence? So these are the colleges which are in synchronized with the National Education Policy 2020. So National Education Policy 2020 was released by government and there are a lot of conditions. Those colleges which are satisfying this National Education Policy recommendations and all, those are called as the Pradhan Mantri Excellence of Colleges for Excellence. So in this, all the parameters like whatever the degrees they want to take, they can take. Multidiscipline, that means they can do 2-3 subjects. Whatever National Education Policy has given opportunity, they can explore, right? And Madhya Pradesh is the first state in India to implement it. That is also important. Next one, recently Bihar government has demanded minimum support price. What is minimum support price? We have discussed many times. This is the minimum amount decided by the government to give it for the farmers who cultivate. Currently it is given for 22 crops and makana or lotus seeds are not involved, right? So Bihar government is asking that minimum support price has to be given to the lotus seeds as well, which are also called as makana. Fine. So that's why now we need to know about makana as well, the lotus seeds. It is a tropical and subtropical aquatic crop. That means it is grown in the water itself. Lotus is grown in water only, right? So that is the thing, it grows. It is also called as black diamond, right? and Bihar is the, India is the largest producer, and within India, Bihar is the largest producer. So India is the largest producer of Makana seeds, and within India, Bihar is the largest. But still, this Makana is not native to India. It is native to Southeast Asia and China. Many times this is asked in the exam, right? So Makana seeds have very high nutritional benefits, vitamin A, vitamin C, many of the nutritional content are present in the Makana seeds. So these are all the factual pointers. Now let's solve some practice questions. First question, which of the following statements about Central Bureau of Investigation are correct? Are correct, right? So one statement or two statements, any statement can be correct. First one, the CBI derives its legal powers primarily from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. The CBI operates under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. Third one, the CBI requires prior consent from the state government to investigate offences within the jurisdiction of state, except in the union territories. So this is the third statement. So what are all the correct statements in this? First one, yes, it derives its powers from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. One should be there. Second one, the CBI operates under administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs, they are saying. Wrong. This is under Ministry of Personal and Public Grievance Pensions Department. So second statement is wrong and we got the answer B. Third statement is also correct. Unless until there is a general consent, they have to take consent from the state governments to implement. Yes, Srinath, Keshav, Swarupa, Ankit, Ranjan, Krishna Chaitanya, everyone have answered this correct, very good. So you understood the fact what changed in the question. Next question, mercenary software often exploits vulnerabilities in hardware components, software applications and operating systems, physical security measures, network cables. So mercenary software we have seen a discussion. So now you tell me in which part of the devices this mercenary software exploits the vulnerabilities. Hardware components, software applications and operating systems, physical security measures, network cables. Yes, a very direct question. So it exploits the software within the operating systems, whatever the softwares are there, they exploit by managing it. So very simple question. Yes, Keshav, Srinath, Krishna Chaitanya, Ramya has answered this correct. Next question. This was a question taken from the previous year, one of the exams, recently conducted one, right? CSIR exam. Which company was established with equity contributions from National Aluminium Company Limited, Hindustan Copper Limited and Mineral Exploration and Consultancy Limited for acquiring critical minerals assets abroad? Bharat Khanij Bazar Limited, Bharat Mineral Corporation Limited, Khanij Bidesh India Limited, National Minerals Resource Limited. So which one was established by giving equity, that means shares of this particular company has given equally to the National Aluminium Company, Hindustan Cooperated Company, Mineral Exploration Consulting Limited. Yes, again very good. So most of you have answered. This is Khanij Bidesh means it is a other countries, right? The clue was given. So yes, Ramya, Srinath, Ankit, Keshav, Swarupa, everyone have answered this correct. Next question. From the ecological, this is asked in UPSC Civil Services 2017. This was asked in the UPSC 2017 Civil Services Prelims examination. Let's see who will answer this question. From the ecological point of view, which one of the following assume importance in being a good link between Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats? Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve, Nallamala Forest, Nagarhole National Park, Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. It's a UPSC Civil Service past question. We have discussed this. Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve is located in Andhra Pradesh, Nallamala as well, but Eastern and Western Ghats meet at Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu. So at least in that part you can eliminate. Nagarhole is also not, because it is located in Karnataka, a little bit in the Western Ghats. Answer is Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Yes, Ankit, yes, Srinath, Ramya and Swarupa has answered it as correct. Great. Next one, the Vibrant Village Program is centrally sponsored scheme launched to develop. The Vibrant Village Program is centrally sponsored scheme launched to develop all villages in India facing economic hardships, villages lagging behind in social development indicators, villages along the country's international borders, villages with high potential for tourism development. So in which parts of this the Vibrant Village Program is being deployed? All villages in India facing economic hardships, villages lagging behind the social development, villages along the country's international borders, villages with high potential for tourism. Correct. Yes, so that is what it was. Villages along the country's international borders which are lagging behind, they are being deployed here. Village Vibrant Village Program. Last question for today, one more, sixth question. Which of the following statements are correct about dedicated freight corridor in India? So they are asking the question. Yes, Keshav, you are correct. Srinath as well, Ramya, Swarupa, everyone are correct. Which one of the following statements correct related to dedicated freight corridor? First one, it is exclusively meant for transportation of passengers. They are saying that this is exclusively for transportation of passengers. The Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor spans from Ludhiana to Dankuni, right? The last one, Western Dedicated Freight Corridor runs from Calcutta to Delhi. First one is wrong, so one is wrong. Okay, so here we have no option is there. Second one, Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, yes, spans between Ludhiana and Dankuni. So this is correct. The Western Dedicated Freight Corridor runs from Dadri to Mumbai, JNPT, right? So this is also wrong. So only 2, there is no answer. 2 only is the correct answer, right? So it's a mistake here. Only 2 is correct. Right, there is no answer anyway. Many have answered B. Fine. It's actually to Dadri to Western Freight Corridor to JNPT in Maharashtra. Fine. So this is of today's articles of covering of 3 days. I hope you have enjoyed the session, and we have given the PDF for past session as well. Some students were commenting, and this also PDF was attached. Right. So see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. Thank you.